Hello guys and welcome to today's training. So today we are talking about your realistic diet. I don't know why I said it so strange earlier. Your realistic diet. So yeah, the whole point of talking about your realistic diet is meaning it's specific to you. What is manageable for some people isn't manageable for others. And that is the whole point of personal coaching. It's personal to you, how we approach it, what kind of deficit we create for you. Obviously, this is catered for weight loss clients, but also if you're trying to gain weight, gain muscle, any of those kind of things, we'd be talking more in surplus. But for the sake of this, we're just going to focus more on a kind of deficit for fat loss clients. But you can just flip everything around that I'm saying. If you are trying to create a calorie surplus to gain muscle or gain weight, then it would just be the opposite of kind of what we're talking about here. But like I says, we're just going to keep it simple for the sake of this training and talk solely about creating a calorie deficit. So, like I said, everyone's calorie deficit is going to be totally individual to them, whatever your target number of calories are, whatever your kind of time frame is as well. Some people have a goal or a certain period of time they want to achieve a certain weight or kind of physique by. So that's going to influence what type of deficit you're creating as well. Again, it can be very unrealistic if you are panicking, you've not given yourself enough time, and you might be like, shit, I've got something coming up soon, and I'm going to really need to don't want to say crash diet, but you're going to really need to go for a fast or a kind of aggressive calorie deficit to reach your goal by that point. Sometimes it's just far too late and you're going to have to get as good as you can in a certain period of time. That's the harsh truth for some people. If you aren't, maybe if you're procrastinating or something's came up and you've just not got enough time to reach a certain physique goal or weight loss goal by that point, then it is what it is. But if you have got, a bit more time, or maybe you might not even have a time frame, maybe you are just looking to reach your target weight or a goal kind of in your appearance, then that's okay too. But there are different pros and cons to these different approaches, which we'll talk about today. We're going to talk about as well, like your realistic diet, what your kind of diet should look like, and not cutting out foods. We're not doing ridiculous rules. We're not being, giving you something that's just so unrealistic for your lifestyle. So I'm going to open up, or I'll share the screen actually is what I'll be doing, to show you the slides here. There we are. Right, let's share that. So we'll go full screen on this one. Here we go. So you can still see me up here as well. Smashing. So your realistic diet, this is in our no nonsense nutrition section. So yeah, like I says, we're talking about how to create a manageable deficit for you to lose weight. Again, it would just flip that round if you're trying to create a calorie surplus to gain weight or gain muscle without over restricting and eliminating foods. The same can be said for if you're trying to gain weight as well. If you're trying to gain muscle, people can get really fixated on protein, 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 and high calories and and it can end up eliminating foods as well. You might not be looking after your micronutrients as much. You might be kind of shying away from things like salads and vegetables because you're trying to bulk up on kind of higher calorie foods, which sounds like the dream in reality, but it isn't always as good as it might seem. If you're not prioritizing the health side of things, if like I said, if you're not looking after your micronutrients, not getting enough fruit and veg and all the rest of it, then that's not healthy either. That's kind of the opposite end of the scale that we tend to find with calorie deficits, that we're trying to create so little, not take on so much food that we're going to gain weight. We want to make sure that we're staying in the calorie deficit and we're going to lose weight. And you can end up becoming unhealthy that way as well by malnutrition on either end of the spectrum. So that's what we want to avoid. Like I said, we don't want to be over restricting or eliminating foods. We don't want you to be eating things or struggling with a diet, trying to create a diet that's totally unrealistic for your lifestyle. You might have kids. You're not wanting to be spending your evenings cooking completely different meals for everybody. You're kind of left out. You can't have the same meals as your kids or your family. You can't go to certain social occasions. All these kind of things that are just totally not going to work for your lifestyle. So we're going to have a wee look at that. So if we were to talk about your calorie deficit, so we know how a calorie deficit works, so we should do by now. If you are watching at this point and you're not sure, then there's plenty of trainings that we've done on those already, that you can go and check out. But let's approach this as if you know what a calorie deficit is, you know how a calorie deficit is created, how it works. And we know that no deficit means no weight loss. So if you are not in a calorie deficit, you cannot lose weight. You can do any labeled diet under the sun, but at the end of the day, all it is doing is creating that calorie deficit. Okay, whether it's Atkins, whether it's keto, whether it's Weight Watchers, I suppose. God knows if they know what they're doing. But if we were to, I'm not even going to touch on that just now. But at the end of the day, it's all about trying to consume less calories. Okay, and then if you're consuming less calories, or you're using up more energy than what you're consuming, then you're creating that calorie deficit, and that is how you lose weight. There's no ifs and buts about it. Like, that is just the rule. That is the science. Basically, that's how it works. We can manipulate your energy balance through exercise and diet. So like I said, it all depends on your energy balance. If you're consuming more calories than what your body needs to function and what it needs for, your exercise, your activity levels, your energy expenditure, all the rest of it, then you're going to store that excess weight or that excess energy in the form of body fat. Okay, so you think of, your body. We'll talk in terms of Snickers, okay, just to keep it simple. If your body was to need, and this isn't true by any means, but if your body was to need 10 Snickers to function and to stay at the weight you're at, and you have 12, then those extra two are going to be stored as body fat. If your body needs 10 Snickers to function and stay at the weight that you're currently at, but you want to lose weight, then you would maybe have 8, and then that is going to, create that deficit, and you're going to need to feed on the excess fat that's stored in your body to support the 10. Yeah, so you're going to be using up extra energy. So that's how that works. I hope that makes sense. I don't know why I was talking Snickers, but that's basically how it works. So if you've got fat stores, you're going to pull energy from the fat stores. You're going to pull calories from the fat stores to help your body function. And that means that you're using up those calories, you're burning the fat, and that is how you lose weight. So we use exercise and diet, like I said. So that means improving your NEAT. That is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that is a fancy way of saying how active you are on a daily basis. So if you are going for your walks, getting your steps in, if you're taking the stairs instead of the lift, if you're up and down quite frequently from your desk, going to stick the kettle on, if you're doing vigorous cleaning in the house, if you're running about after the kids, if you're kind of on the go, it's just how much you're moving and fidgeting throughout the day. That is basically what your NEAT is. So we want you to be improving your NEAT because that uses up more energy. That is different from planned exercise calorie burn. Yeah, so don't think of these as the same thing. Going for a walk and being more active on a daily basis is different than going and doing a spin class or something, or going and doing a workout. Yeah, so think of your NEAT as just your daily kind of habit. You want to be improving that every day, and you want to be encouraging a higher level of NEAT, because that means that your body's going to be functioning really well and using up a lot more energy. So that helps create a calorie deficit, and also through your diet. And that is why we will have you monitoring what you're eating, maybe using MyFitnessPal or just using a food diary of some sort, and then making adjustments to your diet to mean that you're consuming less calories than what your body might currently require to maintain the body weight that you're at. And then that means you're going to draw from those fat stores, as we just mentioned, and use those fat stores as calories that you are burning, and you're burning those and you'll be losing weight. And that is how we use exercise and diet to manipulate your energy balance. Now, that looks different for everybody because some people might be more active than others. You might be someone who's got quite a manual job. You might be on your feet all day. You might have, a lot of comings and goings. You might be out and about quite a lot. You might have a job where you're up and down the stairs quite a lot, or you're on your feet all day, whatever that might be. Whereas you might be someone who's seated at your desk all day, or you might just not be someone that moves very much in general. You might just be sitting quite a lot, or maybe you watch quite a lot of TV, not in a critical, I'm not saying that in like a judgment way or anything, but that just might be kind of what your day is more like. So for people are going to be burning calories different, they're going to be using up a lot more energy different ways. So if someone is quite sedentary in their day-to-day, then it might benefit them to start going for walks or get up every hour and go for a little walkabout somewhere, maybe up and down the stairs in the house, something like that. Whereas if you're already quite active, it's probably not going to benefit you too much by having you doing even more, because then it becomes unrealistic for you. If you're already rushing about daft all day, and then we have you trying to say you already do about 12,000 steps, it's probably going to be quite hard for you to get even more on top of that. Even if you're somewhere in like a high range from 15 to like 20,000 steps, we don't want you doing even more than that, because it's just, you're going to be exhausted basically, and we don't want you getting knackered. So that's where you need to be realistic with it, and that's why we need to see what is specific to you, in terms of how you're going to manipulate your deficit. So for someone that's quite sedentary, sure, we can fire getting extra steps into them, getting them more mobile throughout the day. Whereas if someone's already very mobile and on their feet all day, it's probably not going to be much good trying to get them to do even more, walks and stuff, because the cost, I think, I don't know if you, whatever the economics terms are or whatever, but there's like, it gets to a certain point where you add on, and then it starts to be detrimental to the rest of your life. So when it starts negatively impacting, so you'll be losing energy, you might not have enough time to do other things in your life, because you're just focusing too much and doing far too many steps, going out for walks, all the rest of it. So that's when it stops paying off, basically. So we would look at your diet more. We'd say, well, if we can't manipulate your exercise anymore, if we can't improve your NEAT anymore, then what we could do is improve your diet, and we can do that by creating a calorie deficit solely through your diet. Whereas the person who's more sedentary, we could maybe look at creating a deficit a little bit more in their diet, but by getting them more active every day, that is going to give them a good wee boost as well. So it just depends on yourself, which brings us to the next point, the fast v the slow burn. So there are different approaches that we can do for weight loss. In my experience, some people do better from a fast burn, some people do better from a slow burn, some people start off in a fast burn and do really well, and then we need to change it to a slow burn. Some people start off in a slow burn and then maybe need a wee boost and we go on a fast burn. It totally depends person to person. Some people aren't suited to a fast burn because they have done every crash diet under the sun, and they've gotten so used to getting quick results to start off with, and then it's like the tortoise in the hare. They absolutely burn out too quickly, and then they've got nowhere to go from there. So, the fast burn is not suited for them, because you need to learn how to sustain a calorie deficit or sustain this change for a long period of time. That is not over restrictive, that's not full of stupid rules, and it's not going to be detrimental to your lifestyle. Whereas people who have maybe never dieted before, I've never really tried any of these methods, a fast burn might be good for them because they might be impatient and they might be really keen, just they need to see results for that motivation. They're really unsure, like, I don't know if this is for me, calorie deficit's what you're talking about. Whereas if we go, boom, let's get you in quite an aggressive deficit to start with, they see these fast results, they're really motivated and think, do you know what, okay, this is working, this is what's going to work for me. And then they've got that momentum to keep them going. So that's when the fast burn might be quite effective. So we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. We're going to go through the pros and the cons of the fast versus the slow burn, who it might be well suited for. And yeah, we'll just explain that a little bit more. And then talking about a small deficit. So as I was saying about the slow burn, that's when you're just taking a smaller deficit, being much less aggressive than the fast burn. You're just taking your time, building on new habits, all the rest of it. A small deficit is still a deficit, so don't feel like because you're not being really aggressive with your deficit, you're not seeing these mega fast results, you're not losing pounds and pounds and pounds of weight. You're just going to be doing it over a smaller scale, a longer scale, basically. So a small deficit is still a deficit. You'll still be creating that calorie deficit. You'll still be losing weight. It just might be over a longer period of time, and that might be more suited for you. So there's nothing wrong with a fast or a slow burn, but it just might be wrong for you. It might not be what you need. So we'll talk about that in a wee minute. Actually, we'll talk about that now. So this brings us to my fabulous technical wee table here. So we've got the pros in the green, the cons are in the red, and we've got the fast burn and the slow burn. So like I said, there's pros and cons to both of these. It's not that one is the best method, it's just what's going to be the best method for you. So the fast burn, the pros are that you can be motivated by fast results. So like I said, if you are new to this, if you've maybe got a certain time frame, You might not have much time. Maybe you've got a holiday coming up or a wedding or whatever it might be. You've got an event coming up and think, I need to lose this amount of weight by this point. Then we might need to put you in a fast burn because you might not have that much time. Your window for your diet might be quite small. It might only be about 6 months or something. So we might be looking at a bit more of a fast burn. If you're motivated by fast results, then happy days, this is going to be good for you. Like I said, if you're impatient, if you find that this slow and steady just isn't going to work for you, it's just going to bog you down, you're going to be so demotivated, you're not going to be interested in the process, then the fast burn will be good. The aggressive deficit, like I said, it might be the difference between like taking 500 calories off. It might be more than that, depending as well, of course, on the safety of the deficit, how much weight you've got to lose, what your current weight is. These things are all factored in as well. If you're someone who's quite quite lean already, or if you've not got a lot of fat to lose, and a fast burn might not be good for you, because if you're already looking at like 1800 calories as your maintenance, you can't take too much away from that. You don't want to be talking about a 1000 calorie goal for you every day. It's just too low, and that's where an aggressive burn won't be effective for you. I wouldn't do that to anyone. Some people might, but I wouldn't be putting anyone on 1000 calories. Nope. So that's where the fast burn might not be very good as well. But if you're impatient and you've maybe got a decent amount of weight to lose, if you can, like I said, manage the aggressive calorie deficits. Like I said, if you could go, if 15,000 calories is a big calorie deficit for you, then that's cool. Then that's where a fast one will be fine. And then if you find that seeing evidence of progress instills trust in the process, then you're going to be wanting to keep it going. You think, well, do you know what, this is working for me. I'm seeing evidence because I'm losing weight, my measurements are coming down, my progress pictures, I'm seeing such a difference. I know that this is working, and if I keep doing this, then I'm going to keep losing weight. And that just keeps you motivated and keeps you adhering to your program. So that's the pros of a fast burn. That's why it can be really effective and why it can work. And if this sounds like you, then a fast burn might be good for you. The cons might be that you'll burn out quite quickly. The deficit might just be too aggressive for you. You find it too hard to stick to. You might find there's too many changes to your diet and you're struggling to keep up with them all. It's just too much too soon, and you're just going to burn out from it. You think, I cannot stick to this diet. It's too aggressive for me. It's changed too much of my life already. I can't stick with it. Like I said, you might struggle to adhere to the aggressive deficit. You'll find that it's too restrictive. You might have to, forgo going out at weekends. You might have a big impact on your social life. If, like I said, if you've got family and stuff, it might be really hard to stick to an aggressive deficit when you've got a family and you're eating different things from your kids and stuff. You might find that you're a lot lower in energy. It's impacting, your mood. It's impacting your gym workouts. It might even affect your sleep. All these different things that we want to be avoiding. So that's when a fast burn is maybe too aggressive, and it's just not going to work for you. So if we do the opposite and look at the slow burn, so the pros of that one, if you're happy with the slow and steady approach, if you're more tortoise in here, then that might be quite good. If you've not got a strict time frame, or you've not got a target that you need to reach, then that's fine. You can go slow and steady. You're not in a rush. You're not having to batter towards this time frame, so that might be absolutely fine to go with the slow burn. You're not overwhelmed by big changes, so the opposite of what we just mentioned there, you might find it too restrictive and the aggressive deficit's too much. Then that might mean that the slow burn is good for you because you're not having to change too much. I had a client who drank a lot of Coke. This was years ago, and it's probably one of the best, not one of the best results, but it's been one of the most, or the least upheaval to someone's diet we've probably made, just through subtle changes and doing the slow burn. So rather than doing a big massive overhaul with this person's diet, all we had to do was reduce how much Coca-Cola she was drinking. And she was drinking 2 cans of Coke a day. That was roughly about 280 calories, just shy of 300 calories, we'll say. So all we had to do was change her from drinking 2 full fat Cokes a day, not even eliminating that from her diet. We just gave her an alternative, and she was drinking Coke Zeros instead. So she was still getting the 2 Cokes, but we were just changing it. So already we were eliminating just under 300 calories from her diet a day. And over a course of a week, that's what? So 300 times 2,100 calories. So if you're looking to eat, if the kind of rule of thumb is that 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So she wasn't even in a deficit of burning a pound of fat a week. She was probably losing just under that. But all we had to do was make that simple swap: 2 cans of Coke to 2 cans of Coke Zero. And that was 300 calories gone just like that. Now, that is not a big change to make. She's not even eliminating having a fizzy drink. She's still getting the drink. She's still obviously getting it will taste a little bit different. That's debatable. And if you're a Pepsi Max team and all the rest of it, the same great taste, they always say, but it's never really exactly the same, is it? But she's not having to change too much. She's not having to overhaul her entire diet. She's cutting down 2 drinks. She's cutting out 300 calories just like that from changing the drinks over. And that is a very slow burn. I mean, 300 calories a day is actually quite a lot. I would even say a slow burn is like 100 to 200 calories a day. But the 300 calories was bang on for her. She managed to lose a decent amount of weight just by making that simple change. And of course, not everyone is going to be drinking, like, I'm not saying in a perfect world, everybody's going to be drinking loads of Coke, and all we need to do is change it, and happy days, you've lost all the weight. But it's not as simple as that. Obviously, it depends person to person. But I'm just using that as an example. She was not overwhelmed by making big changes to her diet and lifestyle. It was just a little alternative that she had to make, and happy days, she was managing to lose weight. It was a lot slower. We didn't have to, like I said, make too many changes, but she did lose weight over a longer period of time. She was patient. It was fine. She was happy to do that. She wasn't finding too much disruption to her life because she wasn't having to change too much. And also, she trusted the process because although it was slow, she was still seeing results, even if they were a little bit slower. So that worked for her, and that might work for you. If you are happy with a slower and steady approach, if you're willing to take your time and accept that your progress is going to be a bit slower, but you will be progressing nonetheless, and you find that you don't want to be making too much upheaval or too many changes to your diet, then it can be good for you. However, if you are dissatisfied with slow progress, then it won't be for you. If you are wanting to see quick results, realistically, we all want to see quick changes, but if you are really demotivated by it, you might find you're losing motivation because you're not seeing changes. You're losing maybe momentum because it is quite slow and you just want to really be seeing that wee quick change. And you might be losing interest in it because you're not seeing anything happening. You're bored, you're fed up, nothing's changing, or nothing's changing quickly enough for your liking. And you might just get a bit frustrated and resentful of your diet. You might get a bit resentful of your coach as well because you're thinking, I'm paying you money. I'm doing all these, I'm doing this, that, and the next thing, and I'm still not seeing quick enough progress. Now, this is obviously where I would step in and say, right, well, let's look at where you're at. Do we need to make a change then? Do we need to go for a bit more of an aggressive deficit? Can you handle it? Have you proved to me that you can stick to a calorie target? If you are in a slow burn and you can't even stick to it, then there's no chance you're going to be going at an aggressive deficit because you can't even prove to me that you can stick to a slow deficit. So why would I put you in a really quick in a really aggressive deficit? Okay, you need to show me that you can stick to a plan. We need to see that if there has been any progress. If not, then we'll be like, right, okay, let's take things up a gear. If you've not been doing your steps, if you've not been sticking to your plan and stuff like that, then you're just not going to be ready for a fast burn. You'll need to stick to the slow burn and maybe just suck it up and accept that your progress is going to be a bit slower. But if there is that kind of understanding between us, if I think, well, do you know what, you've been sticking to your plan, you've been doing really well, you have been trying, you've been doing your check-ins, all the rest of it, then they'll be like, right, okay, let's take things up a gear. It's time to smash this and go for a fast burn for a little bit of motivation and see some progress. So, like I said, it depends on the person, depends on your situation, depends on your experience, and obviously what we think that you can manage and what would be suited for you. So you don't need to stay in a fast burn as well. You know, that might just be for a certain time frame in the tortoise and the hare kind of situation where you might have done crash diets before and you get to that burnout point and no one's really there to help you once you get to that. They're like, well, this is the rules, this is how you diet, and that's it. Whereas what we would do is, right, okay, so you've got to this burnout point, you've done this kind of fast burn, and you're burning out a little bit now. So let's take things down a gear. and let's put you in a smaller deficit, less aggressive, and give you a wee chance to just recover, get your energy levels up a little bit. We could even maintain that deficit, make sure you're still in a calorie deficit, but not as aggressive. Okay. Same goes for the slow burn. Like I says, if you find that you're not really getting results, you're ready to take things up a gear, then we would put you in a fast burn and see how things go. So it's just a bit of trial and error sometimes as well, but we want to make sure that you're going to be getting results. It just depends what's going to be more suited for you and what's more realistic for you. So your realistic calorie deficit, remember, it's all about you. It's what's going to work for you. So said you might do a fast burn deficit for X periods of time, then change to a slow burn or vice versa. But whatever way you do it, whatever deficit you're creating, it must be healthy. Okay. Now there's going to be different priorities for different periods of times. So it might be that you're eating similarly to before. You might not have had a very healthy diet, but we might still be creating a calorie deficit because you need to lose weight. Okay. The most important thing is that you're losing weight. That is your main goal. And then we could look at making things a little bit healthier. So maybe you are just cutting down from a few takeaways a week down to one. Okay. So you're still not having a very healthy diet overall, but by cutting down to one takeaway, like that's a big improvement. And I'm not saying that takeaways are unhealthy, by the way. I'm just saying if you were having a lot during the week and that was causing you to gain a lot of weight, then by taking out a few, then that's quite a good way to do it. That might be your main priority, is just to lose weight first of all. Then as you get better at tracking and get used to being in a calorie deficit, seeing some progress, then we can address, are you getting enough micronutrients? How's your plate? What's your balance like? Are you getting enough protein, enough carbs, enough micronutrients, fruit and veg, and all the rest of it? So we want to make sure that you're eating healthy. We don't want you to be in such a ridiculous calorie deficit that you're not even eating fruit and veg. You're just eating to your macros or eating to your calorie goal, and that's it. We want to make sure that you're eating well, you're fueling yourself, and you're obviously refueling as well once you've worked out and all the rest of it. Make sure you're looking after your bones and your muscles, and you're going to be recovering well, you're going to be sleeping well, you're going to be feeling healthy, you're going to have enough energy, and all these kind of things. We want to make sure you're not leaving you overly fatigued as well. So we want to make sure that deficit isn't so drastic, whether that's through your exercise and your diet. We want to make sure that you're not walking yourself exhausted. You know, if someone set you like a 20,000 step target, you'd be knackered, wouldn't you, if you're not used to it? So we want to make sure you're not fatigued from that. We want to make sure obviously you've got enough energy for your workouts as well. If you're eating so little that you can't even complete a workout, that's not any good. If you're eating so little you can't be arsed interacting with your family or your friends or your kids, then that's not good. If you're so tired you can't even do your work properly, that's not any good to anyone. Also, to make sure it's not too restrictive. So there is a bit of give and take here. You're going to have to accept that you can't go out getting smashed every single weekend. You can't be having, chips and cheese, curry sauce at 3 o'clock in the morning every single Saturday. You can't it's not realistic to do that every single week. If that is something you're already doing, you might need to accept you need to pick your battles. We've already done a training on this as well about prioritising your socialising. You might need to accept that you can't do that all the time, and you need to pick your battles with which social event you're kind of going to give it your all to and things like that. But yeah, we want to make sure it's not too restrictive and that you can't do anything. You're like, I can't go out with my friends, I can't meet my friend for a coffee. I need to take, I don't know if we've all heard of this, but someone taking like food prep to a wedding. Could you imagine? Tana? I mean, I would never, right, turn up to a wedding with food prep. Okay, imagine you're going to celebrate someone's beautiful day. You're all dressed up. Everyone's looking great. Everyone's feeling great. They've paid for a lovely meal for you, and you're like, listen, I can't. Coach fee says I've got to eat my chicken, broccoli, and rice. Sorry, as if. So that's a really extreme sense, but I've heard of it happening. So, and not with me, by the way, I would never do that to anyone, but I've heard of it happening. So we want to make sure it's not too restrictive. It's got to be realistic for your life. And also, you've got to incorporate foods you like, enjoy. This one is so important because you don't want to be giving up normal food. This is why I bang on about a lot. It's okay to eat sandwiches. It's okay to have cereal for breakfast. It's okay to have sausage, beans, and mash for dinner. Like it's okay to eat normal foods as well. You don't need to completely overhaul your diet. You don't need to be eating quinoa every night, or it's nothing like that. You want to make sure you're having food. If you like quinoa, by the way, like more power to you. Nothing against it. But if you don't like quinoa, you don't need to eat it. Basically, if you don't like certain foods, I hate avocado. Ugh, no, thank you. I will not be eating it. I have been through this before. I've tried goji berries. I've ranted about this before about frigging goji berries. I remember when I was at uni and I went into like a must have been a Holland Barrett or something. I got them and I thought, right, I'm going to put these on my granola and and I swear to you, it tasted like nail polish. They're absolutely vile. I was like, I don't care if this is a superfood. I am not eating it. So don't worry too much about superfoods or trying to eat things that are branded as fitness foods. Eat normal foods, incorporate foods you like and enjoy, but try and obviously make sure that they stick to your calorie goal as well. So my top tips for a realistic diet, just to round off this little talk, is to include food meals you enjoy. We've just been over that. So you can make lower calorie swaps. So if we go back to my client from years ago who lost lots of weight from substituting her 2 cans of Coke a day, she still got her juice fix, but all we did was swap it for Coke Zero. So we got in a calorie deficit, we cut out 300 calories a day. She still got to get her drinks, little disruption to her way of life other than having to buy a different type of juice. Okay. If you're someone who maybe likes takeaways at the weekend, you think, you know what, we end up having a takeaway Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Maybe we should just stick to a Friday night or Saturday night or something. And Friday night and Sunday night, I'll make fakeaways, I'll make alternatives. So if you're used to maybe having a curry or something on a Friday night, you can make your own curry, or you could get like a ready meal curry, whatever it might be. There's always alternatives that you can use. If there's certain foods that you like that are maybe not as good for you, or maybe really high in calories or really high in, things that aren't as good for you. I don't want to be villainizing like fats and things like that, but maybe they're really high. And if you consume them very often, they're not going to be very good for you. So you can make wee swaps like that. So simple to do, but can save a lot. That's lighter cheeses and things like that. I'm not a big fan on like low fat yogurts just purely because I just think what else is in it? They don't taste as good a lot of the time, and they tend to be full of sugar to replace the taste of the fats. Plus, as women, we need fats in our diet. We really, really do. We don't want to be going for low fat, but sometimes if you're in a calorie deficit for a period of time, making wee swaps like that are fine for the short term. Maybe not for long term. I wouldn't really advise it because you don't want to be eliminating food groups in your diet. But for the sake of this, let's just say that if you make little swaps for a short term, then it's absolutely fine. Or making alternatives, if you find you're having 3 takeaways over the weekend or something. Don't rely on exercise calorie burn alone. Exercise trackers are notoriously inaccurate. If you have got your exercise watch or whatever it might be attached to or synced to your MyFitnessPal, please go and unsync it right now. It shouldn't be there. It'll add on fake calories. Okay, it's going to say that you went for a walk and burnt 300 calories when really you might have burned like 120. If you add those 300 calories back onto your diet and eat them back, you are overeating 180 calories because you've not burned the same amount as it said, okay? And it's going to take you out of your calorie deficit. It's going to ruin all your hard work and you're not going to see progress. So don't rely on exercise calorie burn alone. Remember, exercise and your NEAT are different. We want you to be improving your NEAT through being more active throughout the day, whereas planned exercise like a spin class or something, don't pay attention to how many calories you burn. Please, please, please enjoy the workout for what it is. Feel like you've worked hard, feel like you've gotten something from it, and feel like your body has benefited from a vigorous workout. Please do not worry about how many calories you've burnt because it's not going to be right. Okay, it's going to be so inaccurate, it just doesn't matter. Make sure you're actually in a deficit. So that's the next one. All calories consumed count. Remember that, the ACCC, all calories consumed count. Whether you're having a wee spoonful of Nutella whilst you're putting some on your toast, whether you're, taking a spoonful of butter, if you're cooking them with oil or something and think, oh, that looks about half a tablespoon, when really it's like 2 tablespoons. That is a lot extra calories, okay? Be accurate with what you're having. Things like peanut butter, things that are really energy dense, like peanut butter are so easy to overconsume. So make sure you're logging these things properly. If you start off, it's probably better to measure and to weigh and then you can get better at eyeballing things once you're more consistent with it, okay? But make sure you're being as accurate as you can. You're never going to be 100% bang on, but if you're consistently having the same amount, then it means that it's a bit more reliable in terms of your calorie deficit. Next one's improving your NEAT. So yeah, moving more on a daily basis is so underrated. You know, taking the stairs, it sounds so simple, wee things like that, but it makes such a big difference. I think you know, clients who are doing things whilst they're doing other things. So whilst they're boiling the kettle, they'll be doing their squats, or they'll be doing some walks around the kitchen just to get those steps in. It sounds mental, but see, if you're seated all day, it makes such a big difference. We are not meant to be sitting all day. It's so much more unnatural for us to be sitting than it is to be walking around our kitchen in circles. It definitely is. Your body's going to feel a lot better for it. Whether you're taking the stairs at work, whether you're walking up and down the stairs in your house, whether you're really vigorously cleaning your bathroom, these things all count. So whatever you're doing, just do it with a little bit more oomph. Yeah, if you're cleaning, then get tore in. If you're walking, get a power walk on, get walking quick, get the heart rate up. Just make more of a point to be moving more. If you're a fidget, things like that. Try not to be sitting all the time. If you can get up, stretch your legs every hour when you're at your desk, I'll be happy. Just try and get your knee up as much as you can, because it just benefits your life so much more. It will seem like a bit of a hassle to start with, but the more you do it, the more you'll get used to it. And it does, and it's just like one of the least like intrusive ways to manipulate your energy balance. So I would really emphasize that you do it. And I know you think, oh gosh, she's given me a step target, I need to do X amount of steps a day. But if you can do it, that'd be amazing, and it'll really pay off for you. And it's one that you can do for a lifetime. It really can, it really is. And then stick with it. Consistency is key. The more you do these things, the more you get used to them. They become habits. They become a part of your life, and you'll get results. And that's it, really. That's all I can say. Just be consistent. It's one of those annoying words that people always go on about, but the proof's in the pudding. If you're consistent and you stick with it and you see results, you see progress, you get to your goal, I mean, happy days. You're building good habits. They're going to take you through your life. And that is us covered that. So, yep, this is all about your realistic diet. Remember, it's what's going to work for you. How did I go back to that? Stop share. That's the one. So, yeah, so it's got to be what's realistic for you. It's got to be what works for you. Whatever approach you go for is what's important. That's what matters. So I hope that's been really helpful. I hope that's given you some ideas about how you're going to diet moving forwards, or if you need to make any changes to your diet. So yeah, make sure it's realistic and it's something that you can stick to.